with my
All right, Michael, we can hear you. Indeed, there is an issue with the network. So I think as we wait for Michael, he's just going to try and log into a place with better network. I just welcome you all and request for those of you that are watching from YouTube and those of you that have received the link to the Zoom channel, please share this to other participants and to the people you have in your circles. Let them be able to join us and be able to tap into the knowledge that is going to be shared. Okay, so as we wait for Michael, I think we shall just have a small musical interlude as Sissy prepares to moderate our session and break the ice, breathe, have everything going well.
Yeah, I can see Mike is back on the call. I'll ask one of us to volunteer with an opening prayer in faith. Anyone volunteering with a prayer?
Ephraim Mangeni has put up his hand to do that, so I think we'll ask him to unmute.
Yes, Ephraim, unmute and open the meeting with the prayer. Yes, Ephraim.
Yes. Good afternoon. No?
Hey, good afternoon, Ephraim.
Yeah. Pardon what you have said?
You're volunteering with an opening prayer, a short opening prayer for the meeting.
Okay. That's good. Good afternoon, all members who have joined us for this session. I'm Ephraim, the participant. Let us humble ourselves and we pray. I think you are getting me.
Yes, Ephraim.
Let us humble and we pray. We thank God who has brought us for this session, and all people have joined us. We thank God so that can guide us. We get what we are going to share, and everyone who is there. Amen.
Yeah, thanks, Ephraim. I think we can have our facilitator, Michael, with a brief introduction to the team as we have our session today.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, Michael.
Yeah, okay. Sorry for the connection. My name is Michael Sekadde. I'm the General Manager of Human Resources at MTN Uganda. I'm passionate about football, specifically supporting Manchester United. I like golf. I'm passionate at golf, as well as Formula One. So those human resources specialist, and I've been in this field for the last 35 years. So that is my specialist. And I also like to work with people because it keeps me awake every day. So I think that's a brief about me. Excited to be here to share with you some of my views on what we are going to discuss this afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike, for that brief introduction. We shall have an interactive session where we shall need to know more about Michael and also in relation to the mission of building inclusive and diverse teams. So, Mike, I have one simple question that the team may need to know. What really makes you different as a human resource manager general at MTN Uganda?
I didn't hear the question.
Michael, I think Sisi asked a question about what makes you different as a human resource manager from other human resource managers.
What makes me different?
Yes.
Okay. I think one of the key things that makes me different, I'm a human resource manager who has technology. I've evolved me build my exposure in terms of the wider human resources. So that is one thing that makes me different. Maybe another thing that also makes me different, I believe, is over 25 cultures. My organization is part of a group that is in over 22 countries and been exposed to over 20 different cultures, which has given me leverage or an edge from the rest of the human resource. I think those are the key ones that I can say that put me different from my other colleagues. Thank you.
All right, Mike, thanks. You said you've been a human resource manager for over 35 years. So what
Yes.
has your journey been like with MTN?
Okay, thank you. My journey has been exciting. It's still exciting. I started in MTN over 22 years as a small young man. And I started at the bottom of the pyramid of HR as a training officer. I've gone through the ranks until I became the head of HR. So it has been an exciting journey, full of learning, full of growing, and full of development. And this journey has given me a wide perspective of managing people, of managing different teams. And also, like I said, it has exposed me to different cultures, which has built my interpersonal skills, interpersonal relationships. But overall, it has been an exciting journey that has built my experience. And also it has built my understanding of technology outside human resources. Of course, human resources is a specialist field, but if you are to survive in the new world that we work in, analytic skills, I've been able to comprehend that. And I've also built other technical skills, technical ability skills that help me in my job. And also other skills like digital skills. I've been able to build that because it's also imperative for the kind of work that we do. So outside human resources, I say I've also developed other critical skills that are helping me survive now, that also will help me survive in my future life. So that's my journey. It has been exciting. It's exciting, lots of exposure, and also lots of fun, I must say.
Wow, that is so great. It's a motivation to the junior HRs in the future. Apart from gender and disability inclusivity, what else is entitled in team inclusion, according to your experience that you started at 22 years?
Disability inclusion can include religion, it can include race, it can include color, marital status, as well as language. So inclusion looks at many different things, many different dimensions. Okay, that's what I would think.
All right, Michael, thanks. So we have two terms here. We have diversity and inclusion. So what is that big difference between the two terms?
Okay. From diversity and inclusion program, but for us, we define it simply as different people differently. So what we mean here is diversity is wide. So they do things differently. So for us, diversity is the difference that defines someone. So that is how we define diversity. Then inclusion, we equate it to comfort. I mean, what I mean here is everybody, despite their differences, should be comfortable in a setting, for instance, like MTN or any workplace, they should be comfortable to be able to do what they can do in terms of, let's say, performing a job or performing a skill, etc. So for us, it's equal to comfort. Everybody should have equal opportunity in a comfortable setting. So that's how I would define or differentiate both terms, diversity and inclusion.
Wow, okay, Michael. So you said for over 35 years managing people. Do you think diversity is key for all businesses, or it is better for some than others?
Okay, in my experience, the organization I work for is a big organization, and for us, diversity and inclusion is important. Like I said, MTN is a group in over 20 countries with diverse cultures. So an organization like ours or any other big organization, even a small organization, is imperative to have diversity and inclusion, because research has shown that organizations with diverse and inclusive cultures perform better than those without such programs. And they have seen that organizations that are diverse and inclusive are 2 times more likely to meet or exceed their financial targets, okay? Basically, you have different skills, different people, different ideas, innovation. People come with different knowledge, and this will help you be productive as an organization. So they have said, they have researched, and it's on record that such organizations organizations that have diverse and inclusive cultures are 6 times more likely to be innovative. So what happens is people come with different thinking out of the box, thinking out of the idea. There will be many innovative ideas. And they have also researched and shown that such organizations are 6 times more likely to anticipate change. Change is rapid in the situations we work in, and they are 6 times more likely to anticipate change and respond effectively, because such people are innovative and they can be able to adapt quickly, be able to change what is not working. So that is what research has shown. And from the experience where I sit at MTN, you know that we're a technology company. Basically, technology changes all the time, and you require innovation, you require people to think out of the box. Otherwise, you will not survive in the competitive world. So that's what I would think puts organizations with diversity. Thank you.
Okay, Michael. So you said, according to research, could you please show us some statistics based on the research and the findings that prove the need for diversity and inclusion in the business? Thank you.
If you want to show, I don't have numerical statistics, but in terms we have a diversity, and we have different cultures here, different nationalities of people. In terms of performance, last year, MTN met its objectives. We did meet our objectives in terms of performance. I think we posted about, I think, 15% year-on-year growth. I mean, from and also in terms of innovation, we have stayed above the curve of our competitors. If you know something about the telecommunications landscape, MTN still has the biggest market share of about 54%. And also because we believe in equal opportunity for all talent, for all skills. So for me, in terms of sharing some of the numbers, that is what I would share with you. And it has been working year on year because we believe that some of these programs contribute to the productivity of our teams and also to the overall performance of the company. So that's what I would share with you.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. And to the team, if we have any questions, we can be writing them in the chat box. Our facilitator will be answering them at the end of his presentation. Thanks. Michael, back to you. Yes, we understand results of your research and MTN having the biggest coverage. It is true, as you say. So what is your perception of these small businesses that do not reach MTN in reference to building inclusive? What is your perception of the small businesses that don't carry the percentage of MTN that you are currently working with in reference to building inclusion and diverse teams? Thanks.
Okay, I think for me, I would advise small companies. Of course, small startups, it depends on the number of employees you have. But if you are a small company with 50 to 100 employees, I would believe that you would put in some of those programs. Diversity is critical now. All successful, if you Google or if you read, if you research, all success. You will bring on different people with their differences, different thinking, different ideas, different way of doing things. And again, if you are to be above your competitors, you have to think differently. You have to think out of the box. So for me, teams based on experience, teams based on gender. Gender is critical now. The New World Order is to promote equality in the workplace, meaning that the male and the female should be either equal or the same. So that should be very critical. So whether it's a small organization, it's important, it's paramount to build diverse teams because they'll bring differences in thinking, differences in of young, hungry people, and your organization will thrive. So diversity is important. And also, there's a program that they call Economic Social Governance Program, which is the New World Order in terms of ECG programs. That's the Economic, Social, and Governance programs that are required of organizations. So I think it's important. However small an organization is. Hello, you're muted.
sorry. So Michael, you said, however small or big it is. So if I may ask, how do you prioritize diversity and inclusion without affecting the people being hired into the organization?
How do we, please put that question again?
Like, how do you prioritize, how do you prioritize diversity and inclusion without affecting the quality of people hired into the organization? Again. Sorry.
I didn't get the question quite well. How do we prioritize diversity without affecting
inclusion without affecting the people hired into the organization? I hope it is clear now. Thanks.
Okay. If I'm to interpret, is an equal opportunity employer. We believe in giving everyone an equal chance. So that is our first priority. So once we are looking for talent, or once we are looking for skills or people out from there, we give everybody the same starting block. So we don't care whether you're a female, whether you're male, or whether you're disabled, as long as you have the skills and experience that we are looking for. So for us, in terms of a priority, that is the starting block. We'll interview all people from their different aspects, or gender, or age, or language, or culture. Then the best person takes the day. So when they come into the organization, then of course we have programs where we want to promote more and more, let's say for instance, gender. Internally, we want to promote more and more women into leadership positions, into management positions. Women to take up these positions. So in some of those some programs like succession planning, we prioritize based on gender, because we want to promote more women. Equally, when you come in, we have different programs where we want to build. For instance, I'll tell you, we have a program on diversity and inclusion. It's called Women in Technology Program, to develop women leaders, to be able to interest them into the technology world, to interest them as engineers, because people believe that engineering or technology is a male-dominated field. So some of those programs want to build women leaders for the future. So that is how we balance diversity and inclusion. That's how we prioritize.
Well, Michael. So thanks for that. Could you kindly please break down some 5 ways that we can promote inclusivity in our day-to-day life?
Okay. Thank you for that question. I think for me, it's just based on, one, accepting people the way they are, their differences. I talked about the differences of people, the way I look, my age. I think one thing is to accept one for their uniqueness. I mean, we all have unique skills, so that is one. Then the other one, collaboration with different people in the different teams. For instance, MTN is a large organization. If you're to promote diversity, then also communication, the way you communicate. Some cultures, the way you communicate, for instance, I'll tell you, one of our operations in the Middle East, the way you communicate to some of these cultures is different. So understanding how to communicate. Another thing is learning the different cultures. Again, that is very important to be able to work well with different people. I'll give you an example. I've been blessed, so over 20 different cultures. So if I'm to work well with such people, I have to read about the Lebanese culture. I have to read about the Zulu culture. I have to understand how a Zambian culture operates. So that is very important to understand people's cultures. Then the other thing that I would also, the last point maybe is to make or have workplaces that are comfortable for everyone. Without any hassle. So I think those are some of the things that I would think would make or promote inclusiveness, simple ways in someone's day-to-day working life.
All right, thanks, Michael. So I have one simple question for us. How do you think we can create a conducive environment for the youth? I understand youth have so many expectations when they join work. How do we create that conducive environment? Thanks.
I'll use my experience, okay? I was once a youth. When I joined MTN, I was in my 20s. I was in my prime youth. So I've learned things along the way, but the youth of these days have very high expectations. What I would advise the youth is, one, first and foremost, to start a career, to be patient, to grow gradually, to grow organically. So if I start a career as an engineer, I don't expect to become a senior manager after 1 year. It will take you a process. You'll take a process to learn, to experience, to get the requisite experience, and you'll eventually develop. But how do we handle how do we build conducive environments for Generation Z? Yes, we have a number of them, but we try to create policies or programs to help them thrive or help them build a successful career. For instance, we have what we call the employee value proposition. Employee value proposition is a deal between the organization. It's a contract between the organization and the employee. It's an understanding on a mutual understanding. The organization gives you back for performing your job or for delivering on your job. So some of the initiatives we have put into that employee value proposition, we have a thriving work environment, and we have a culture. We have built a culture over time that is very conducive for young people to be able to develop their competences. So we give you all the tools of trade, we give you the workspaces, but more recently we have innovated or introduced new initiatives. After COVID, we learned that, for instance, people can be able to perform job or to perform work wherever they are. So we have developed a new policy, which we call anytime, anywhere flexible policy. I can work from my home, a given duration of time. And we see that the youth want to be given freedom to do their jobs. So as long as this young person has the laptop, they can be able to deliver their work from their home or from a cafe or wherever. That is one initiative. Some of the other initiatives that we are working or doing around these diverse or younger generation, Z or X, to match their lifestyles. We have created some programs around rewards and recognition to be able to give back for the performance they do. So a number of initiatives that we are doing, yes, they are very demanding. They want things to grow very fast, but also the biggest thing that we emphasize in MTN is learning and training. So the company has invested a lot of money in innovative training, web-based training, classroom-based training, and of course, external training where people go and learn about technology, about new things. And we believe this is empowering the youth or the young people to match their lifestyles. My experience is these guys or these young people want to grow very fast. They become impatient if they're not growing in a career as fast as they would. Also, they like technology. And also, if you have initiatives that keep them challenged, then you'll be able to retain them at the workplace. So those are some of the things that we're doing.
Okay, Michael, that is so great. You talked of the different techniques that you promote inclusivity. Could you kindly share with us the most technique that is used at MTN to promote inclusivity among the employees?
Yeah, like I said, we have equal opportunity for everyone. So everyone has the same programs, the same policies affect everyone the same. For instance, the HR policies, all of us, as long as you're an employee, you're affected by the same policies. We have what we call brand values. Everybody has to believe, everybody has to live those brand values. We have what we call vital behaviors, things that you do or cannot do at MTN. Again, these affect everyone the same. So when you walk into these doors, we have a culture, and that culture is the same for everyone. So as long as you're working with us, the policies, the values, the vital behaviors, all affect you the same. So that is how we promote equality. Even the other things that we do, for instance, we have programs like insurance schemes. All the stuff have the same, okay? In terms of initiatives, for instance, things that we use, all the stuff have the same. So work environment is the same. We are now in one open working space, one office. So everybody, as long as you're at MTN, we want to have you live inspired at the workplace. So inclusivity is the same for everybody.
That's so great, Michael. So do you think the national policies that promote inclusivity, we can use Uganda, our country, as in reference?
Do I think, sorry? What's the question?
Do you think there are national policies
that promote inclusivity? Yes.
That promote inclusivity.
Yes, I think there's a policy on, I've read it's about on people with disabilities, where the government wants to have organizations like MTN promote or employ people with disabilities. So there's a program that the government has facilitated to ensure that people with disabilities have the same rights in terms of employment. So there are policies that are existing within the national framework. Also, the policy of economic social governance. These are some of policies that are being developed at the national wide scale to enable organizations as MTN or other organizations, banks or any other big organizations, to adopt those policies to promote gender diversity, again, people with disabilities. So those policies are existing.
Right, thanks for sharing. So, in your opinion, what do businesses stand to gain when they promote inclusion and diversity in the working environment? Sorry.
I've already said, if you're a business, the biggest objective of a business is to make money, financial performance. So I've given you an example. The more diverse or the more innovative or the more agile you build your teams, you'll have productive people. You'll have people who are delivering. And at the end of the day, like I've said, research has proven teams that organizations that are more agile or more innovative, you'll be able to perform. You'll outperform your competitors. Financially, you'll perform. So it's critical to build diverse teams and also have equal opportunity for different people from different spheres of life, because they bring innovation.
All right. Michael, as we come to the end of the session, I just have one simple question that the team may need to know, and to every one of us. What really keeps you going as a general HRM for MTN Uganda?
Okay. What keeps me going? Many things keep me going, but the one thing that I've developed over years is the self-drive, the self-ambition, the self-motivation to succeed. I mean, I have had a successful career in my life, but it has also not been a bed of roses. I've worked hard to get where I am, and I believe that I am blessed, but I also put in hours. So what keeps me going is I'm a very ambitious person. I want to succeed more and more. So I try out new things. I also try to learn new things. I read quite a bit. So this enables me to keep abreast with, for instance, I work for a telecommunications company. So I read quite a bit about the emerging trends in telecoms. So this helps me to understand where the business is going, where the new HR trends are emerging. And this motivates me to put in more effort. So that's what inspires me. And also, I'm passionate about what I do. HR is all about people. I'm passionate about working with different teams. And again, if you're an HR person, you'll know that managing people is one of the most difficult experiences you'll ever have. So every day there is a different challenge in managing people, which also keeps me on my toes and keeps me awake to think of how to find solutions to make people happy or to make people live inspired, as we call it at MTN. So that's what keeps me going. And also outside work, I like a lot I play golf a lot. Now that also keeps me motivated to be able to keep fit and also exercise and also meet people or connect with other networks. Yeah, so that's me.
Wow, it's great to know more about Michael. So Michael, what advice would you give to the young youths out there who wish to join as human resource managers at some point?
Yeah, I think the advice I would give a young person aspiring to be a human resource manager, yes, of course, the basic requirement is a degree, but these days degrees are no longer marketable. the marketable things or the marketable skills and experience is about understanding. Depends on the area you're going to work in. If you're going to work in a communications company like MTN, you need to have different skills outside your HR training, out of your HR basic training. And we call these the critical skills. For instance, if you're aspiring to be the next Michael at MTN, you need to understand digital skills, you need to understand technology, you need to understand business analytics, something around, you need to understand, again, diversity and inclusion, very key. But the futuristic skills or the future skills are financial technology, digital, social marketing, business analytics, I've talked about it, and business intelligence. So get out of your comfort zone with your degree in Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor in Social Sciences or Bachelor in Social Work and Social Admin. Learn the things that are marketable. So you can't only have experience as an HR specialist. To survive in this job, you have to understand trends on human manpower planning because it affects the financial bottom line of the business. You have to understand how staff costs affect productivity of the business, how it interrelates with the overall business plan. So all those skills require more than a basic degree, or they require more than 5 years of experience, as an example. Then the other thing I would like to give to young people, I know young people are very ambitious. They want to arrive very quickly. They want to get to the top very quickly, but it doesn't happen that way. It's a process. You will take time, and if you're to develop, you have to keep on learning new things, and that will take time. You're not going to become the head of HR after 5 years. That is impossible. It will take you time of hard work and also experience. So that would be my advice to the young generation out there.
All right, Mike, thanks for sharing. The meeting is now open to everyone to share our questions. I understand we have so many questions to our presenter today. I'll ask Egumili to take on from now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ceci. Well done on that. And thank you, Michael, for sharing effortlessly and sharing as far as how you like to enjoy your leisure. That's really good of you. You've given us plenty of information. And before I kickstart the question and answer session, I see we have 2 questions in the chat. So before we go there, personally, from your feedback, what I've gathered is the importance of diversity, but I also feel that diversity is something that comes automatically. Unlike inclusion, where you need to make deliberate steps and set up policies, I feel diversity is something that is a given. If you're going to hire people, people are always going to be different. So whether you try to say we are going to make a deliberate effort, you will always have diversity, regardless of whether you make it a point to create it or not. So I feel that going ahead to make diversity a deliberate effort in a workplace or any space may put you at the risk of overlooking people who have higher potential in favor of those who meet the diversity needs. And don't you think that creates a sort of challenge then?
I think for me, the issue here is to, as much as possible, is to appreciate everyone the same, equality. So you will see that in most instances, you will not get the diverse kind of people you're looking for. For instance, if you're recruiting, you may say, I have 3 jobs, or I have 4 jobs, I want 2 women, 2 men. But in reality, you'll find that, for instance, if they're technical jobs, you'll find that there will be a disadvantage to women. But what diversity tells you is accept differences, accept people for their differences. And the more and more you go building such such programs and initiatives, putting in place incentives for promoting, for instance, women in succession, women in leadership development, it will come over time. It doesn't come on day one. You build these things, and if you have the right process, if you have the right policies, then eventually you'll find that people will believe in diversity, okay? People will believe in diversity, more and more people will grow, and more people will develop. So diversity is a process you build over time. And in the society we live, people are disadvantaged mainly because of gender. We see people cannot do certain jobs because maybe of this gender. But of course, put in place programs, like I've told you an example, the Women in Technology program, where we were trying to promote women to promote more women in technology, in technical roles, in engineering. So those are some of the deliberate things that you can do to promote diversity. But again, yes, the differences are there, but appreciating everyone for their difference is also crucial if you're to drive the diversity agenda.
Thank you. I think that takes me to Charles Amone's question, and it is much in line with what we asked about the accommodation of the Gen Z in the workspaces. He asks that we are talking about diversity and inclusivity here, but why is it that most job adverts state that fresh graduates are needed, yet they still need 3 years working experience and as a key to qualify for the job, and yet the youth can already learn fast enough without even that much experience? What is your take on that? The fact that jobs do need the young power, but then on top of needing the young power, they need a lot of experience, yet these young people can learn very quickly and accumulate that experience on the job.
Thank you. My take on that, I would differ with the opinion of that gentleman. There are different jobs that, for instance, that we put out there. And you'll find that on each job advert, there's experience. It could be 5 years, 10 years. Young people, I know, feel ambitious, but sometimes they bite more than they can chew. Experience is the key for most of these senior jobs. You cannot buy experience. Experience is not taught in school. You have to dive in the deep end to get experience. So it depends on the category of the job. And most jobs that, like you will see that we put out in the media spaces or the social handles, are mainly technique or skills specialist jobs that require some kind of experience. So it could be 5, it could be 10 years, but also we also have jobs that we put out where we say these are entry-level jobs. You require a diploma or a degree and any experience that maybe you got through internship. So it depends on the level of the job, it depends on the category of the job, but experience is critical for most of these highly specialized and senior jobs. That one you cannot buy. And I can tell you, as a young man or a young woman, it is you may not be able to do that job. Whether they gave it to you, you will fail on the probation within 3 months. So experience is critical. But in terms of his question on inclusive and diversity, yes, it depends on the role that we are putting out there. But we also have roles that we advertise that don't need experience. You just need university, and you also need maybe 1 year or a few months experience.
Okay, thank you. I hope, Charles, you've got the answer there. The answer being that there are differences in these jobs. There are jobs that require experience and there are those that don't. And you need to appreciate that experience can't be got anywhere apart from being accumulated. So I feel that's a well-answered question, Michael. The final question, as we come to our end, I think we've done well to try and maintain time. We shouldn't go so far. is from Jonah Emuna, and it also is in line with creating inclusivity. He wonders, I do not know where the source for this information is, but he wonders why many jobs these days are no longer advertised. They are just taken up. You just see companies announcing new staff members without necessarily advertising these jobs. And even when they are, feedback to unsuccessful candidates is not given. His question is, what could be the cause of the phenomena in the market? But for me, my question from there would be, how do you think that would affect the motivation of potential youth that could have made a contribution to a different organization?
Yeah, I think the context one is, of course, organizations are not hiring anymore. You know what has happened, COVID, and even before COVID. Most organizations are now very, they're not hiring because of the one economic situation. But even then, an organization like MTN, if you follow some of our handles, social handles like Twitter, Facebook, we have been advertising a lot of jobs recently. We are trying to grow to develop the mobile money company, and we have advertised a lot of jobs in the past few months. But from where I sit, I know organizations are struggling. So if they are hiring, for instance, we have people at MTN who are working as contractors or contract staff. These people are accumulating a lot of experience doing customer service roles. So when opportunities open up internally, first priority is given to people internally to compete. So you may not see many jobs as you would want. So we first advertise internally, and if we get people within, then we appoint them. If we fail, that's when we come and advertise externally. So that is what most organizations are adopting, because they are building skills within. But for an aspiring young person out there, it shouldn't be a deterrent. I mean, you can get a job at one point. It doesn't mean that if you don't work at MTN, you're not employable. You can make a career in Coca-Cola, you can make a career in a bank, you can make a career in an NGO. I see lots and lots of organizations advertising. It's just to understand what you're aiming for. For instance, am I aiming to be an HR manager? What is that is going to take me to my aspiration? So I may start in a small organization. Then once I get that experience, I launch my career in another organization. I, for one, did not start at MTN. I started in a small bank. But that, when I got a job many years ago, as my first job in a small bank, was to say that I'm aspiring to be a human resource manager. Let me build I did lots of interviews, and they would give you regret letters, and they say, oh, you don't have experience. Sorry, you have the requisite degree, you have the requisite university knowledge. One thing you lack is experience. Then I said to my mind, I said, okay, I need to build experience. So start in a small organization. You can even start as a volunteer in a small NGO. Your aim is to build experience where you want to go. Believe you me, one day you will get that opportunity if you also have the right attitude. Because I can tell you, the young people from university, I see them a lot here. You call them for interviews. They have that attitude of self-entitlement. I have a first-class degree, or I have a master's degree. Basically, I should be in the job. It doesn't work that way. Have the right attitude, have the right mentality that you're aspiring, and it will take you a process to get that experience. Then I think the other question he asked was on how come they don't get regret? Yes, lots and lots of people apply, and what we do for us is to get back to people, external people. For instance, if you're external and you didn't go through, we get back to you. They call you and they give you a regret. But I know many people apply, and in most instances, for instance, internal, it may not be able to give back feedback. But what most organizations do is to put a disclaimer on their job recruitment advertisements that if we don't contact you in a certain period, then consider yourself unsuccessful. So that is another form of polite feedback. But what we do is, for us, we, as much as possible, we get back to the unsuccessful people.
Okay. I hope you've been answered, Jonah. And I think I have to applaud MTN. They have demonstrated inclusion and diversity from race. There are people of various races, there are tribes, age groups. It's amazing. And it is at the point of race that I'm very intrigued by our final question that has come from Dr. Moses Semusu. And I think he's asking this in quite a broad perspective, coming from what we see in the media and what we read. He says that we have a business model that comes from our counterparts from India, who look like they still for growth opportunities for the native Ugandan, the Black Ugandan in their businesses. Dr. Samus is wondering, why doesn't the national policy address this, and yet we are already recognizing Indians almost as one of the tribes in our country?
Okay, that would, excuse me, that would, that's a very intriguing question, but how I would answer it, I would also use the perspective we have taken in terms of organizations are doing, for instance, outsourcing. I think that's what he's implying, is referring to outsourcing to Indians or to India, for instance, as a call center to cut costs or drive efficiencies. But from where I sit, MTN, if you have followed the history of MTN, when it was starting, it had many expatriates. And now what we're trying to do is what we are calling localization. As I speak, we only have 3 expatriates out of the 1,034 employees. So you can see that 99% of the employees are locals, local Ugandans. So I think what organizations are doing, again, like I said, diversity should include people of different race, religion, or gender. So it's the way you balance. For instance, what I know the government is trying to do now is driving localization, especially for these multinational companies like MTN. So they give you a quota of localization. You can't exceed a certain number of people with expatriates because they will not give you the work permit anyway, work permits. So it is a balance. Yes, we want to have locals, but also you will bear with me and you'll attest that some of these experts are needed in especially companies like MTN, technology companies. Some of these people are experts at what they do, technology or IT, and we require such skills to pass on to the local people who will then take over. So some organizations are doing that, they're outsourcing. At MTN, we have stopped that practice. We are now more into localization, but we also we have to work with partners like Chinese. Chinese are the suppliers of technology. You have to have them in your space. You have to have some of those Chinese experts to pass on the skills. Indians, IT specialists, you have to have on some of those specialty skills, again, to train and impart the knowledge and skills to the local, who will then take over in the future. That's how I would handle it, answer it. I hope I've answered him. But I
hope
know,
so too.
I know, for instance, like our license obligation requires us to have a certain quota of localization. So where I sit, we have a policy, we have license obligations, and I'm sure organizations like the big banks, especially multinationals, are required to do the same.
Indeed. So, Dr. Semusu, I think the answer is there, that there is some policy level. Maybe it also comes down to the level of business, but there is a level of policy by by the country to limit the number of expats and promote localization. And from the way you have clapped in the response, I believe you're satisfied. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being part of our session today. I think we could safely say we've come to an end. And I just want to invite in this order first, Madame Primera Mudhoni from MTN, and finally we shall have the closing remarks from the manager and the project manager, Mr. Nelson Munyanda. So over to you, Prim. Let's hear from you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Michael, for coming for the session. Which has been amazing over the last. I've been there when the university and I interact with people. Very point of view where I do products, I design products, I take feedback. People has been it's very important in our own small businesses when we start our businesses and realize that everyone's input is amazing, whether even when it's about age, in terms of a diversity of age, they're really young people, maybe like when we do products which are maybe like pulse products, I will not be able to do them on my own. I'm going to go and ask someone who is at high school and someone who is at university what they think about the different products. So I'd like to thank Michael for having this amazing discussion with us, and I hope we'll take back something to our own businesses as we build them. Thank you, and over to you, Egumire.
Thank you, Primera. I would love to invite Nelson, who will give us the final remarks.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope you can hear me. Egumire, thank you very much, Michael, for sparing 60 minutes of your time in your busy schedule to talk to these young people about diversity and inclusion. It's a cross-cutting issue, and I think it starts at the lowest unit of our society, family. We are all different, both female, male, able, disabled, living with disability. And for us, it's a chance for us to appreciate and tap into your experience of over 3 decades and a half. And for us, we are very glad for such an opportunity to relate and also learn from you. They say, currently it's not about the degree, it's about you learning new attributes, unlearning the bad, and then relearning those that you've forgotten. I thank you, Michael. I thank you, Sylvester and Primera, and all the alumni and participants of the MTN Skilling Program. Thank you very much.
Thank you too, Nelson. Thank you, Sisi, for being a very good moderator for us today. Thank you, Primera, for being a good backup. Thank you to the participants who have been on the call for the last 1 hour and 20 minutes. And more thanks to you, Mr. Michael Sekadde. You really were very selfless in your sharing. For those that have watched us on YouTube, thank you for joining. We shall be here next week on Tuesday with Mr. Samjita. So it is a rolling thing going on. Please don't leave knowledge. It is always there to be taken. I would like to wish you all a very lovely afternoon and proclaim the end of our session today. Have a good day.